true. Good morning, everybody. Get this, it's fascinating. They are smarter than baby boomers. They're more ambitious than millennials. Dr. Karyn Gordon fills us in on Generation Z and how they will change our future, as Whitney's saying. Yes. I believe the children are our future.
Yes, there you
And
go.
this is like an incredible report coming out of McLean.
Oh my goodness, I loved it. When I first got this article, I was like, yes, finally, because I've been doing generational training for really the last 10 years. And so up to this point, it's been really focused on the 4 different generations that are in the workforce, the friction that's actually happening. And so I'll do it for school boards or Fortune 500 companies, profit, non-profit. Everybody wants to know because there's so much tension with the 4 generations. So all of a sudden, this article comes out saying, well, here's the next generation. And it's really interesting because a lot of people had said, what is going to be, what are your predictions on Generation Z? And so what I want to do is give all of our viewers kind of a quick snapshot, because you have to really understand with what's actually happening to really, I think, fully understand and appreciate this article.
Who is Generation Z?
Okay, so Generation Z is anyone from about 4 to 18 years old. Okay, so give or take a few different years. You're going to, depending on your source, you're going to have a few different ages. But 4 to 18 is Generation Z. Generation Y is 19 to 34-year-olds. Or 33. Generation X, which is my generation, 33 to 49. Boomer is 49 plus.
Okay, so the findings were fascinating. Generation Zers are go-getters.
They're go-getters.
Level-headed.
They're crazy about entrepreneurship, but almost 72% of them said, I want to be an entrepreneur.
But that's going to affect the pension plan because they're entrepreneurs and they're not feeding into the pension plans.
They're more independent. They're more, in terms of, so some of the things that the study actually talks about, they're more independent. They're more very, very socially aware, kind of like Generation Y.
They're prudent.
They're prudent. They're more conservative. They're going to be more savers than actually spenders. But one of the things that's really, really interesting when you actually kind of think about this is that Generation Z, they have been raised by Generation X, so my generation, okay? So one of the biggest frustrations that Generation Y has experienced actually in the workforce is that they're entitled, they show up late, they don't know how to make decisions, they're not decisive because they have been raised by boomers. Boomers have been this helicopter raising generation.
On them too much.
They're on them too much, and so what's happened is, so Generation Y has gotten a lot of bad PR. I hire almost all Generation Y in my office. I love Generation Y, but you do have to manage them differently to really maximize. They've got wonderful attributes, but you do have to manage them a little bit differently. So I think part of the excitement with Generation Z is that they have been raised by Generation X. Generation X are fiercely independent. So as a Generation X manager, I could give something to a Generation Z, give it to them, and off they would go. If I give that to a Generation Y, and I just said, okay, go do this job, they would feel abandoned. They need more feedback. Their ability. So in terms of the difference between Generation Y and Generation Z, there's going to be an independent versus dependent difference. And so what's going to happen is that that's really going to play to an advantage to Generation Z. So Generation Z, they're going to be very entrepreneurial. Their technology, the article talks about how they are technology natives. This is the first generation ever.
Versus
we are the immigrant. We all kind of have to kind of figure it out. We're all kind of figuring it out. And so this is like so it's technology, they're going to be further advanced than any of us. Entrepreneurial, independent, their ability to actually think. You put that all together in a package, it's very attractive in terms of from an employment perspective.
And we need that. They're going to solve a lot of the world's problems.
I know.
They're heavy into the environment.
I know. Heavy into the a lot of some of the people are saying that they're kind of looking this generation as kind of like the savior
to fix our mistakes.
Fix a whole bunch of the mistakes. So that is why I think it's actually so interesting when you kind of take a step back and you actually look at what's actually happened. I think it's going to be very interesting when Generation Z really start heading more into the workforce.
My nephew already knows way more information than me, my husband, and his parents put together online in terms of how to work things and just absorbing information. It's unbelievable. Now there are some pitfalls. Obesity, because they're sitting in front of the screen.
So one of the things that they're going to have to work on, and this is going to apply for any of us, technology is going to be definitely their strong suit. That being said, they have to learn in terms of that face-to-face, and that's going to be for Generation Y as well. They have to learn that communication skill. Like communicating through technology is great, but that's one way. You have to
skills,
the social skills. They have to make they have to make sure that they're working on that. The obesity thing obviously is a concern.
Force them into some sort of physical activity, make it fun. So in the summer, pull them away from the screen, half an hour, badminton, whatever it is, hula hoop, bike. And that's
spatial. Yes. So the spatial thing as well. So what's funny? One of the things that they said in terms of the study is that their spatial skills are not as strong as some of the other generations because they've relied on GPS in terms of actually navigating.
So they can't navigate streets without like Google Maps and GPS.
So they might be like, okay, who cares? Whatever. So we've got GPS. Do I really need it? But
no, exactly.
So those are kind of like the small differences. But they're bringing a lot to the table. It's going to be really interesting as the generation kind of enters more in terms of the workforce.
It makes so much sense. Generation Generation Z. More on this. Pick it up, everybody. Or actually, it's no longer on newsstands, but you can access it via Next Issue. Nextissue.ca to see the entire article, as well as hundreds of magazines available. It really is amazing. You can take it to the beach, read up, and your Generation Zers will enjoy the technology format of it too, okay? Because it's so old school to flip a paper page. Thank you so much. For more information on Twitter, hit you up at
Dr. Karyn Gordon.
And
they can go to dkleadership.org as well.
dkleadership.org. Thank you.